Hi and welcome to Ali Lives Well on Less. I'm Ali, an early retired teacher, currently living well on a small pension. And today is Money Monday, where I am going to check in with you for those of you who are trying to become more consciously frugal in 2025. And reading through some of the past comments on previous videos, some of you are finding it challenging to stop spending as much as you do. But as I've said all along, it's hard to change a habit that you've been doing for a long time. So the whole purpose of writing down everything that you have been spending is so that you can start to build up a picture of where your money is going. And this is a method that has worked for me for quite a long time. I have recently tried to do a zero budget at the start of each month, and I have found that doing a zero budget like Jane over at Frugal Queen, that doesn't work for me. And that's okay. If writing down everything that you spend after you've spent it doesn't work for you, then that's fine. There are lots and lots of different ways to keep a track of your spending. And I am deeply envious of those of you who like and know how to use a spreadsheet. It's just something I have never got to grips with. So I stick to my trusty notepad. I am a sucker for a nice notepad. So if you remember from part 1 and part 2, I found an old book that I had been writing down all my expenditure in 2022. So that's what I'm going to show you again today, because it's easier to show a past example of my spending before I became even more frugal. So the example from August 2022, I was still working, I was still teaching full time, and I was still earning a really good salary. And I have mentioned before that at that point in my life, the aim was early retirement, early retirement, early retirement. So I was saving half my salary and trying to spend as little as I possibly could. So the example, I'll say it again, is an old example. It's not my current spending level, but it's a good example to show you how the method worked for me. So if you've been writing down everything that you have been spending in January and February, and now unbelievably we're more than halfway through March, you'll be starting to see the categories where you normally spend most of your money. And I've shown this before, and you will see that my biggest expenditure back in August 22 was supermarket. So by looking at my supermarket spending, I was able to see that £191 was just far too much for one person, and that's when I set a much lower budget for myself, which I still sort of stick to today, and that's £120. So I'm going to hold it up there. You will also see I've got things in there like takeaways. I no longer buy takeaways because I just don't have the spare money for takeaways. So by writing it down, I can see where my money was going. So takeaways are really expensive, and that's a nice, easy way to immediately save money by just not buying takeaways. I had a personal care and clothing sort of category. I don't buy clothes. I have loads and loads of clothes that I am still using up and wearing out from working. At some point this year, I will have to do a proper wardrobe audit and see what I'm going to do with my clothes. I've also got a garden budget line, and I'm going to speak a little bit more about garden costs in a minute or two. And also, I've spoken before about teachers spending lots of their own money on school supplies. So again, writing it down, I was able to see how much money I was spending for work, for school things. So again, that is a category that I no longer spend on. So hopefully by looking at your January, February and halfway through March expenditure, you should be getting a sort of good idea of how much you spend in the supermarket, how much you spend on things that you need for work, whether it is buying a lunch, preparing a lunch, it could be travelling costs to and from work. You'll be able to look at all your categories and decide where can you cut the costs. It's not a rocket science method. I have said this all along. There is something that brings it to life for me by seeing it written down. So if you've been trying to become consciously frugal and you have been following my method of writing it all down, leave a comment below and let me know how you're getting on and how much money you think you could save by cutting out a category or cutting down on a category, or have you got the zero budget method down to a fine art? I've tried a couple of times to do it by setting up how much I should spend in certain areas or categories each month, and it doesn't work for me. I like the flexibility of knowing I have X amount of discretionary spending this month and I spend it how I like. For example, last week I was able to go out for coffee with a couple of friends. I don't specifically have a going out or entertainment budget anymore. So just because I do it so infrequently, there's no point in having a set budget for that. So I just find the flexibility of deciding how to spend it as I'm going along, or maybe you could call it winging it. But I always know how much money I've got left in my discretionary spending, and unless it's something really important to me, I try not to borrow from the next month's budget or to dip into my savings. So the other thing I was going to mention today, oh excuse me, I've got such a dry throat today. The other thing I was going to mention today is it's coming into gardening season, and my wee garden that I'm starting completely from scratch needs a little bit of money spent on it, and I have decided to use some money out of my savings, my emergency fund, whatever you want to call it. I need to get a delivery of one of those big bulk builder's bag deliveries of either compost, topsoil, something like that, to fill up the raised beds. I have salvaged all my raised beds from my allotment plot, but I've got nothing to fill them with because, as I said, there's nothing in my wee garden. I haven't got my composting area set up yet, and it's unlikely that I am going to be able to generate enough compost myself in order to fill these beds. So I've decided that I'm going to take the hit and I'm going to take some money out of savings, and I think it might be over £100, maybe pushing it up towards 200 because delivery is expensive. So I do have a local-ish company that can deliver for me, so I'm going to do some sums this week, and I'm just going to do that because I can't grow things in my garden if I don't have any growing medium for them to grow into. I've basically got a bog out the back garden. So I think just to get it started, I'm going to do that. And it was in the back of my mind at the start of the year when I set out my goals for 2025, that I wanted to set up this permaculture garden. And at the back of my mind, I knew I was going to have to get a source of compost from somewhere. But again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about my garden on another video I'm planning on putting up this week. I love the suggestion someone said, you could call it Weeding Wednesday. I love that. Just an occasional series. But yes, so by the time this video goes up, I will have probably ordered some compost. So I will let you know in Weeding Wednesday what I've decided and how much I've decided to spend. I've still got just under £30 left on my Dobie's voucher, which is a garden centre here, that I was given as a retirement present. So I have to use it up in the next probably month or so, otherwise I lose it. So I will get some composty things or some plants with that remaining £30, and then I'm hoping that's all I need to spend on the garden. Everything else I can upcycle and reuse and repurpose. So fingers crossed. A wee bit of a mixed money Monday today. I'm filming this later on the Sunday because I decided to pop down and visit my mum this morning, and I took Luna with me. So she's a bit tired from all the excitement. She's not great in the car, and she just spent the whole time at my mum's house being overexcited and noisy and barky. So she's just finished her yogi ball there and has just jumped up onto the sofa. So I think I might get about half an hour's peace and quiet. Yeah, she's not even looking at me. She knows I'm talking about her, but she's just like, I'm not even looking at you. So hopefully I'll get some peace and quiet to review and edit this video and get it up for you. Thank you so much for all the lovely comments on the beef mince video. I loved all the suggestions of other things that people do with mince. Normally, if I've got a pack, I will just make some meatballs or some meatloaf or something, or just a big batch of spaghetti bolognese sauce. But I thought I would get creative with it, and I hope some of those ideas were useful. So everything just went straight into the freezer. Once it was all cooled down, straight into the freezer. So it's there to keep me going for the rest of the month. So thank you for all the lovely comments on that. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to be losing my voice. Not enough tea today. So thanks for watching. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video and you've watched a couple of adverts, thank you so much. As I said, the portion of the ad revenue this month is going to my local hospice, Strathcarron. So thank you so much if you have been watching the adverts. Remember, don't watch the great big long ones, just 30 seconds is all it needs to register for me to get some revenue. So thank you so much for doing that. So have a lovely Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm hoping to see you again on Weeding Wednesday. If not, I'll see you again on Foodie Friday. And I've got a couple of new ideas for you then. So have a great week, and I'll catch you soon. Bye.